So, you guys get along pretty well. Wagner? Wagner? I hear you're from Germany. How interesting for a French poodle. Okay. Well, it was nice of you guys to come pick us up, Fiona. I'm glad you didn't growl at me. Huh. Wee baby Agnes, my man, how you doing? What's up with these guys, John? Did I piss them off?
No, I don't think so. Why?
They're just ignoring me. Nobody's answering my questions.
Well, yeah, that's because they're dogs, Frank.
But what? What the hell does that have to do with anything?
They're dogs, Frank. Dogs don't talk.
But my doggos.
Let's start the show.
Hi, I'm John Belliston.
I'm Frank Shaw. You are listening to Relevant to Our Interests.
Hi, and welcome to another episode of Relevant to Our Interests. I'm Frank, and with me as always is...
Father Frankmas.
No, you can't use my name in that. You have to
I did. Well, I did.
Fuck.
What are you going to do about it?
Nothing, because you're like 150 miles away from me.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
But anyway, yeah, we're here again recording an episode on rare exports, and you guys didn't hear the last episode because I somehow deleted it. But here we are.
And I'm going to say that it was our best episode. It was good.
It probably wasn't.
It was so good that it was too good for this world
and died
and had to be
had to be
purged from time itself by the angels, lest the balance of good and evil was undone and the world torn asunder.
It was clearly destroyed. It was clearly It's gone. Yeah. Unfortunately, it's gone. We actually still have part of John's or all of John's side of the conversation, and I've thought just to release it as a funny what the fuck thing. I'm not going to. I guess if you really want to hear,
I kind of want you to now as like a little bonus one of these times. Like, here's half the audio.
if anyone,
John talking to no one.
If anyone really wants to hear it, email us at relevanttoourinterests@gmail.com. That's relevant, the number 2, the letter R, interests@gmail.com.
Or talk to us on the Discord. Or
talk to us on the Discord.
Or Twitter. Or tweet us.
Or tweet us at R2Interests. Or Facebook.
Or just, wrap a message around a brick and throw it through our windows.
That's another... don't throw it through my window, because I don't need to have to fight the cold with the big hole in the window any more than I've already fighting the cold.
But this way you'll have to physically fist fight it.
Yeah.
And that I kind of want to see. I kind of want to see you fist fighting Jack Frost.
No.
Yeah, I'm turning into a music video in my head, Frank, now. It's canon. That's going to happen.
No.
No, it's going to happen.
No.
It's a prophecy now.
No. Anyway, so John, before we dive into this week's topic, which is the fine film, Rare Exports, do you have anything you'd like to say?
Yes, we have a totally fake sponsor.
It's true.
This time. And you know what? They came to me. Usually I make them up, but they came to me to offer their sponsorship.
In his head. They came to him in his head.
Shh, quiet. I wasn't talking to you, Frank.
Yeah, I know.
And our sponsor is The Most Dangerous Game. Do you have extra people? Are you bored? These things work themselves out in The Most Dangerous Game.
Are you Ice-T?
Now on sale in a private island owned by Walmart.
Are you Ice-T trying to escape the man who brought you to this island? Or is it Ice Cube? I think it's Ice Cube, actually.
No, I think it's Iced Tea because then he becomes water tea.
I don't think that's we're not talking about Rick and Morty, man. This is
Yeah, I think we're always talking about Rick and Morty.
This is something else. This is something else.
Nah, I don't think it is.
Yeah. Anyway, so this
But
week,
to be fair, I wasn't paying attention.
that's fair. So this week's episode is the Finnish/Norwegian film Rare Exports. It's a pretty fantastic film,
He's so good.
I want to point out that just like the last time, I am unprepared and don't have it up on I don't have it up on IMDb.
And you literally had an extra week.
I did.
That's the thing.
I did.
Yeah.
The only thing I need to reference is the director for whatever reason. So anyway, it's directed by Jalmari Helander. He's a chupacabra. He's a chupacabra. No, this started as kind of a film project. He started out with a short called Rare Exports Inc., which is about three guys out hunting Father Christmas
And turning into chupacabras.
and turning him. No, come on. I'm trying to be serious here. And turning him into basically Santa Claus to ship off to parts of the world. And
to combat the chupacabras.
he follows that up with. So I'm just going to cut all the chupacabra shit out.
I just really love saying the word chupacabra, Frank.
We'll find a better
Don't
place.
silence me. First Amendment violation.
Jesus Christ, we ain't going to do that. He followed that up with Rare Exports, the official Rare Exports Inc. safety instructions video, sort of as a proof of concept. He uses the same actors, both shorts. He uses the same actors that are in the film.
Yeah.
And then he was finally 5 years after that. That was made in 2005. In 2010, 2009, he was able to film the movie that we're going to be focusing most of our time on right now. So we're going to give kind of a overview of the plot with some commentary throughout.
Yeah.
John will probably say chupacabra a few times.
And then I'll switch to Krampus so that Frank feels like I'm being properly festive.
That's better.
And then once I've lured him into a false sense of security, I'll switch back to chupacabra.
Yeah. So anyway, we're going to go over the plot, giving some commentary. We'll talk a little bit of the actors. Then we'll talk about the themes of both the film and the shorts. Give some observations that we may have missed during our commentary and our final thoughts on the movie. And are you ready, John?
Oh, I'm beyond ready.
All right.
I am chupacabra.
Fantastic. So, the movie opens with excavators trying to dig up a Santa Claus out of a huge burial mound in the middle of nowhere, Finland, which, to my understanding, is most of Finland.
Well, I think they start off just sort of like digging, and then the one guy shows up and is like, "We're trying to get the Santa in there."
Yeah, well, they're digging, but he has a purpose, and that's the company's purpose is to dig up Santa Claus.
Yeah.
The guys don't necessarily
as one
know,
does.
Yeah, the guys don't necessarily know that's what they're doing until he shows up. But that's
Yeah.
But two kids are spying on him on the company. They've cut a hole in the fence, sort of surrounding the work site, and the kids are Pietari Kontio, played by Oni Tomila, and Juuso, played by Ilmari Jarvenpää. And I apologize to any Finnish people who may listen to this. I don't know your language at all, so I'm sure I'm slaughtering this, and I apologize. Yeah.
Actually, so from here on out, we will call them boy and slightly older boy who's kind of a dick.
Yeah. Pietari is the main character. Pietari.
He is the boy.
He's the boy. Pietari. When they overhear that they're
kind of a dick,
and his friend Juuso is kind of a dick. When they overhear them talking about Santa Claus, Pietari becomes obsessed with the idea of Santa Claus. Like, why the fuck is Santa Claus in the burial mound? And he discovers all of these legends where basically Santa Claus is this evil son of a bitch who eats bad children and good children and just children in general.
It's sort of clear that the line between Saint Nicholas and Krampus is basically non-existent.
Yeah,
like they're sort of that in this world they are clearly a singular entity.
Yes, and so the Sami people, centuries and centuries ago, a group of people that live in Finland, they lured Santa Claus to this lake, froze him in ice, and then buried him under this giant mountain. Because that's what you do with people who are eating children that aren't bad.
You never actually see the entirety of Santa.
Well, this is
spoilers,
true, but I'm going off what he says.
Yeah, no. I'm just saying that from what little you actually see, like the way they sort of imply it with, like the things you can, like shadows you can see in the ice blocks, and shit, like it's horns that are sticking out. Mm-hmm. This is clearly a big fucking scary monster.
Oh yeah, he's a giant. We'll get into that later on in the synopsis, but he's
like 20
not
feet, but he's like 20 feet tall.
Oh, he's bigger than that. He's way bigger than that. Anyway,
I don't know. Yeah.
So, the day before Christmas, Pitari and his father Rauno and several other hunters / ranchers of reindeer. They're basically they harvest reindeer for meat to sell and to eat for the winter. They prepare for their winter slaughter so they can make their money and sell the meat. But only a couple of sickly reindeer turn up. They discover the rest of them appear to have been killed by what they think are wolves. They go to the fence, and it appears that someone cut the fence open. And, of course, someone did cut the fence open. It was Juuso and Pietari to sneak into the work site.
Because they're dumb.
Because they're dumb. But all of the reindeer are just dead. They're slaughtered. Pitari discovers...
Well, and not even like they've been eaten kind of way. Like there's been like chunks torn out a little bit.
Yeah.
But for the most part, this is clearly like just a slaughter. It's not actually like it's not like a feeding frenzy or something. It's they just killed things to kill them.
Yeah. And Pitari discovers that there's human footprints underneath some of the carcasses. So that night, Pitari stays up all night. He's paranoid that Santa Claus is going to come get him. He'd found a footprint that morning before they went to do the slaughter. He sets a bear trap in the fireplace, which his father almost cuts his hand off with. And
because there was a bear trap in the fireplace.
Yeah, and
and just like shoved up the actual chimney. So he didn't he's like there's something blocking the chimney. What's going on here? And he kind of reaches up there to see what the blockage is, and just about loses his hand.
Which, understandably, that pisses him off. He grounds the boy, and then he discovers that this pit trap he caught for wolves has caught something.
Highly illegal pit trap.
Yes, highly illegal pit trap. He's set for wolves, who are a problem in that area. But they're also an endangered species, which is why it's illegal, has got something. And he realizes it's a naked old man. So he convinces his friend...
As one finds in pits all the time.
It's true. They're lured to pits, actually.
Yeah.
He gets his friend Pipiarin to help him take the body into the slaughterhouse. And there's a wallet with the body, and they look and see that it looks like it's an American, although the face and the age don't match with the body itself. Which
he would have to have aged like 50, 60 years in order to
for that to work out. They decide the best thing to do is to just chop him up and get rid of the body, which is what they go to do, but it turns out that the dude is still alive, which gives them some pause. They're like, well, maybe we should wait and see if he dies. But while this is going on, Pitari sneaks out of the house because he's super paranoid about Santa Claus. He goes to the pit trap, discovers there's this bag in there with this large life-sized doll in it. And then he runs after the cop who drives by. And Rauno thinks that he's seen the old man.
That they're about to chop up in the
slaughterhouse. And so he goes after him, and they end up at the cop picks up Pietari, and they end up at the third man, their friend Imo. Imo has called the cops because he's had some theft. He discovered that his potato sacks are gone, but not the potatoes.
Yeah, and it's like several. It's probably like close to like a ton or so of potatoes that had been done up in bags, and they stole just the bags.
Yeah, so the potatoes are all over his garage and shop.
It's a great. It has like that particular mean, I'm not normally one to go for like the cinematography there.
Yeah.
But that shot, as they're sort of slowly zooming out and you see the fact that it's all just potatoes, it encapsulates the emotion of the scene so perfectly.
Yeah.
Like, it's just this, like, like on a cinematological, or whatever the word is,
Cinematic
level.
Yeah.
It's it's just an amazing moment, an amazing piece of visual artistry.
It's a fantastic visual storytelling. Like, it's very much a show don't tell sort of moment, and it tells you all you need to know. Like, where did they get the sacks with the dolls in it? Clearly, they got it from his potato shed. The cop also mentions that a lot of people's heaters and furnaces have been stolen as well, and Imo comments that his wife's antique hairdryer's gone. While Pitari's there, he asks about his friend Juso, who's Amo's kid, and he goes up to find him because Amo's like, he's still in bed, lazy asshole. Discovers that Juso's not in bed. He is been replaced with the doll. So he goes to tell Imo and the others, and the cop and his father, and they're like, Juso's probably sneaking around, trying to get with chicks.
Masturbating in a field or whatever it is that kids do these days.
Yeah, whatever. He's not in bed. Like, who gives a fuck? He's just raising hell. Like, whatever. And of course, Pitari's like, no. Like, I think the Santa Claus got him. They don't.
Santa did it. Santa did it.
Yeah.
Which makes him sound like a crazy person.
It's true. Meanwhile, back at Rauno's slaughterhouse, Piperin has his ear bitten off by the old man. When Rauno and Amo arrive back to the slaughterhouse, the old man is up. He's sort of, he's off the table. He's sort of crouched down, and they're like, well, he's American. Imo, you speak English. Go threaten him. And so that's what they do. They grab this like metal broom handle, and Imo like threatens to just beat the shit out of him if he doesn't tell them what's going on up on the mountain, and make some promises about getting them their money back that they lost from all the slaughtered reindeer. He sort of kind of ignores them until Pitari shows up outside asking his father to beat him because he's been naughty. Then the old man breaks the metal broom handle and kind of moves towards Pitari, and the men are able to subdue him and sort of tie him up. And they have their thought, well, fuck this guy. If he's going to be like this, we're going to take him back up to the mountain. And Pitari suggests that he's Santa Claus. And that's what they were trying to find on the mountain. And so they're like, all right. So they put Piperin's Santa suit upon him and proceed to go to the excavation site.
Yeah.
And, that's where the fun really begins. At the excavation site, Riley, the leader of the excavation, shows up in a helicopter, explains to the men that all of the naked old men gathering in the woods are not, in fact, Santa Claus, but Santa's little helpers, or his elves.
Yeah. Although I think one of my favorite parts is that he shows up and he's like explaining everything, and he's very like he plays that perfect horror movie trope of like the guy who knows what's going on.
Yeah.
He's like, shit, we got to do this. We got to do this. This is absolutely what we're going to do. And then right as soon as he's like, man, this is what we're going to do, he is dead because he gets mauled to death by Santa. He
gets mauled to death by the old man that they brought up.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. And then there's all these other naked old men in the woods. While all this is going on, Pitari walks up to this giant warehouse, this giant air hangar with a giant 24 on the door. And that's important because during the process of the days that it shows Pitari like obsessing about Santa Claus, and the day before and the day of, he's got this advent calendar, and he's reluctantly been opening the thing each day until he gets to 24, and he proceeds to like tape it shut and then staple it, and then like he doesn't want to open that last door on the advent calendar.
Well, and not only that, but like he tapes it shut one night, one night, and then after that he tapes it shut with more tape, and then grabs the stapler and like staples the door closed.
Yeah.
So he's like completely sealed it away.
And
it's like it's this symbolic. I'm banishing Santa.
Yeah. And this door to the warehouse has a giant ass 24 on it. Inside, the men escaping the rampaging Santa Claus go inside the door, and inside they find this giant, and I'd say it's at least 40 or 50 feet high, behorned ice cube that has the thawing body of Santa Claus in it. All of the heaters are there. All of the kids are still alive in potato sacks around it. Obviously, they're going to be food for him once he wakes up.
There's all these like heat sources that have been plugged in. That I actually finally I realized when we were just talking just now.
Yeah.
That's why they stole the hairdryer. Like it never occurred to me that them stealing the hairdryer was to add to the collection of things to melt him. And I was like, but I had this moment of like, oh, and then really?
I think
you are so dumb.
I think that's
fabulous. You're so stupid.
Sometimes we don't catch the most obvious things, John. It's okay.
Because we are dumb.
Because we are stupid. So they start grabbing the heaters and piling up against the doors to like try and keep the elves out. But Pichari comes to the realization that they're kind of attracted to the kids. Like they're lured by them. They want to make sure the kids are there, so when Santa Claus wakes up, he will have something to eat. And so he convinces Pipiarin, who apparently was a helicopter pilot, to go back out and get into the helicopter that they have out there, fly it over so they can load all the kids up into a giant net and lure all of the Santa Clauses away to give Rauno and Imo some breathing room, which is exactly what they do. They get the helicopter, he flies it over, they throw the kids in, they basically like bob up and down a little bit in front of the Santa Clauses, and they're like, oh, those children, we can't let them get away, and they run they run after them.
Just because this is a good point to let people know, there's so much old man dong in this.
There's a lot of
this movie.
There's a lot of old man wiener.
Old man dong.
Yeah.
There's no glossy way to put it.
I'm gonna call it wiener. It was old man wiener.
Wiener. Yeah. Well, you would.
Yeah.
They do, however, have like beard-like pubes that kind of half covers them.
Yeah,
which I don't know if that's better or worse.
I don't know, and in some sense, I think it's a little better. Because you don't get a good look at any one penis.
Well, they don't like zoom in on it, but you are very clearly that this is Santa dong.
Obviously they're clearly naked, but that's it's obvious. My question is, how did they? I know they used computer effects to get the amount that they have, because they have almost 200 when they count them. My question is, how did they get the 30 or 40 of them to stand around naked in the snow?
It's Finland, man.
What's that?
It's Finland.
That's fair.
This is in Finland.
Well, it was filmed in Norway, so
doesn't matter.
I guess it
doesn't matter. It's still Finland. It's Finland, Norway. Doesn't matter. It's all good.
Well,
up on the rooftop, reindeer falls. Here comes good old Santa dong.
I was gonna say here
dong 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 dong.
I was gonna say here comes naked Santa Claus. Anyway.
Then the tune changes to dong 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 dong.
It's a baseball theme.
Dong.
So anyway, so they lure the Santa Clauses to the elk pens, and while they're luring them away, Rauno and Imo drill a whole bunch of holes into the ice, and they fill it with TNT, and then
Santa ice.
And then Rauno cuts off the horns with a chainsaw, They load them up in the pickup truck, and they detonate it, and it blows up, and then all of the Santas become sort of docile.
But like sad docile? It's like, oh.
Yeah, like, oh, they're disappointed.
They're sad little Santas.
And
sad little what they're...
They go down to the elk pens, and they hit upon the idea, like, what if we were to make these guys Santa Clauses and send them all over the world?
Yeah.
And so they,
cover their pants so you don't have to stare at their old man dolls.
they team up with the company who are excavating for the original Santa Claus, and then they basically train them to be Father Christmases. They teach them not to try and eat children, to be nice, and once they get their stamp of approval, they send them off for shit tons of money. I think it was like $82,000 a piece.
Yeah.
They send them all around the world, and that is how the film ends. And it's fantastic. Like, the narrator comes on, and
it's really good.
Yeah,
it's really good.
Anyway. So we did give our final thoughts away a little bit.
You know what? Like, I think I can say that it is so good that it is worth dealing with all the old man dog.
I agree. So, talking about the actors a little bit, I don't think there's a single female in this film, is there? There's not a single woman.
No. There's it's implied the one's wife. I think one of the guy's wife, but yeah, we don't actually see any women.
No.
Yeah, this thing fails the hell out of the Bechdel test.
It surely does. The actors though, the kid who plays Pietari, Oni Tomila, is a fantastic young actor.
Yeah, he's a real, like, he does a really good job. There's some of the monologues that he does that you would not expect a kid that age to pull out the level of nuance that he's able to throw up. He does a great job, and he's real impressive.
His father in the film is also, I think, his father in real life, Jorma Tomila, who plays Rauno. Solid. All of the adults are solid actors. They do good jobs. I want to say, first off, I want to comment. Tommy Corpella, who's Imo, is basically, in my opinion, Finnish Garrett Dillahunt. He looks a lot like Garrett Dillahunt, like to the point where you'd think they were cousins or even possibly even siblings in the right light. And for those of you who don't know Garrett Dillahunt, he plays a lot of villains. He's in Deadwood. He plays first off, he plays the guy who kills Wild Bill Hickok, and then he plays this psychopath at the end of the first season. He also plays the dad, Jimmy's dad, in Raising Hope.
Oh, okay, I know him. Yeah, he plays a lot of serial killers.
He plays a lot of ominous roles, but he's got some solid acting chops. His stuff on Raising Hope, and then great comedic timing.
He's done some really great cameos. For his comedic, like he does a cameo in an episode of Brooklyn Nine-Nine that's really good.
I don't know if Tommy Corpella. I know he's got a pretty robust acting career in Finland. I don't know if he's completely the equivalent of Garrett Dillahunt. I don't know if he plays a lot of villains or not. But I will say this: if you go to his IMDb page and then go to Garrett Dillahunt's IMDb page, you'll be like, wow, they look a lot alike.
That is not an inaccurate statement.
No. The other primary adult actor, Rauno Juvonen, who plays Pipperin, he looks like a cool disco Viking dad. He's like blonde hair with like these sunglasses and mutton chops. I don't know. I just that's the whole time I thought, oh, he looks kind of like a Viking dad, in my opinion.
Yeah.
The other actors, Ilmari Jarvapan, who plays the Pietari's friend Juso, who's, as John said, he's a slightly older kid with a mullet who's kind of a dick.
Yeah. But he's also the only other named child.
Yeah. Well, he's also the only other child you actually see, because at the end, all of the other kids you never see them because they stay in they stay in the bag, the sacks.
Well, the burlap potato sack is the most protective casing the human animal can find.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's very true.
I read that somewhere. I think it was in the transcript for this podcast.
It may have been. And then, of course, Peter Jacobi is the old man, the Pitari's elf is how he's credited.
Yeah. Who I have to say, for how little he's actually given as the Santa there.
Yeah.
The way that he was able to make that role completely unnerving, and to the point that you are like seriously fearing for some of the characters' safety.
Yeah.
Like he does a really solid job, because I mean he is literally just a naked old man.
Yeah.
But there's something about the way it's shot, the way it does, the way he moves, that leaves you feeling like there is danger here.
Yeah, he's incredibly ominous. Like it's
yeah.
There's absolutely no doubt about that. There's something very uncomfortable about what, and it's not just the fact he's naked. There's something very uncomfortable about watching him. There's this sort of nefarious, ominous.
Well, it's something where it's there's this combination of feral unpredictability.
If you want
and cunning.
If you want a great example of it, they have one of the best shots stills from the movie on Internet Movie Database, where it's him after he's been dressed up as Santa Claus and he's talking to Riley, the guy who's in charge, or he's not talking to him. He's sitting in the cage that they put him in. He's just staring out at Riley. It's pretty ominous. Like
it's proper freaky.
Send some chills down your spine. Now, we're going to dive into themes. Now, this is the themes really don't come up until the end, but they're present in the shorts as well.
Well, and I'd say that it's one where you can't quite tell what the themes are, but once you see what they are, you can go back through. You can kind of go back through the movie in your mind, and see that it was fully integrated. Like it's not one of those like where it feels like a moral that's been slapped on at the last minute.
Yeah,
like it felt fully integrated, which is always nice.
Basically, you don't realize what the theme is until the very end of the movie. But once you get to the end of the movie and realize it, you're like, oh, okay. The theme, it's the biggest theme, is the commercialization of Christmas, just in general, which you hear people complain about all the time. Social media, the news.
I don't know. I've somehow dodged a lot of that this year, but I think.
Well, I
just deleted a lot of people.
I've
been deleted by a lot of people, I think is a better way to put it.
Probably. I have dodged some of it, despite my day job. I haven't had to interact with it a lot, but I'm pretty picky and choosy with who I interact with. That being said, the more narrow focus of this film is the idea of Christmas itself as a commodity. And it's, of course, it's represented by the Santa Claus, by the Father Christmases. There's one moment in the film early on, after Pitari's done some of his research. He's talking to Juso, and he's like the Santa Claus isn't like what we think. He's not this jolly old man in red. Coke sold us a lie. Coke sold Santa as a lie, and so the popular version of Santa Claus, the one that we see today, as it was created by Coca-Cola back in the early 1900s.
Yeah, literally. Your favorite holiday is a lie.
Well, we could go into all of the pagan stuff, but that aside, this takes that idea itself and says, well, if Coke can do it, we can sell you actual physical real Santa Clauses. Here they are. Just make sure that you don't piss them off, essentially.
Well, yeah, and then they give the rules there, like you don't
no loud noises.
No loud noises, no alcohol or swearing.
No smoking.
No smoking.
Yeah.
Those are all the ones that like there are other things that can kind of set them off, but those are like the things that will send them into a rage.
Yeah.
And in the short, you see that they make it very clear that these Father Christmases are not human.
Yeah.
They are terrifying monsters.
Yeah. They are something else entirely. And that's the first short plays up the whole idea of selling the Christmas as a physical commodity. Because the first short, it's short. I mean, it's a short. It's like 5 minutes. You can find it on YouTube, and both of them on YouTube, and I highly recommend you do that. But in the Rare Exports Inc., you have basically them hunting a Father Christmas, tranquilizing it, and then training it to send it out. That's what the whole short is. And it's done kind of as a promotional film, basically selling a product.
Yeah, it's like it's their infomercial that they're running. You know, they're running, or the tape that they sent to prospective buyers.
Yeah, it's like, well, hey, this is what we do. We go hunt Father Christmases and send them around the world for your pleasure. The other one is also like that, but it's sort of a, hey, be aware of these rules and these steps to keep the Father Christmases happy, because if you don't, then they will kill everything around them. So,
like I said, there's a bit in the shorts where like the Father Christmas is like in a box.
Yeah,
like he's literally in a box, and the guy like
he swears,
like a guy like like swears and then takes a big pull off of his bottle of
liquor,
some kind of whiskey, and throws it down on the ground.
Yeah.
And then from across the room, Santa tears himself out of the box, like with a leap,
mm-hmm.
busts out of the box, and is clearly going to land on the guy to tear him apart.
Yeah.
And that's when they cut to something. That's when they cut to something else.
Yeah.
But it's like they're very, very not human, which I really thought was cool.
We have this commodization of Christmas, and if you think about it, that's something that's happened. There are countries that celebrate Christmas that are not Christian at all. Japan is one.
Yeah. Oh, and in Japan, Christmas is like a huge deal with really weird traditions.
Well, and they've made it their own holiday, but they still celebrate it. It's still Christmas. There's this level of secularization to the holiday that other countries and other areas can pick it up and celebrate it almost as a secular thing. And it doesn't seem weird. I mean, and if you think about it, that's really kind of how it is in America for the most part. It's really become a secular event, essentially.
Yeah.
There's still the trappings of religion to it, but everything about it is really secular, from the purchasing of gifts to, and I know there's rituals involved with gift giving and stuff, and it goes back, millennium, but at the same time, because of the way our society works and our economy works, it's so secular that it's not even funny. I don't know. Would you agree with that, John?
Yeah, I think. Well, I think there's definitely has been the religion has been bleeding out of the holiday.
It's not completely gone.
Yeah, no. It never will be, just because of the nature of the nature of the holiday.
Yeah.
But it is becoming less and less the focus, and the emphasis is more and more, particularly for the last 30 years, is absolutely more and more on the secular capitalistic frenzy.
Yes. And that leads to one thought I had, and this is, I'm not suggesting that the movie's necessarily implying this, because I suspect that it's not even a theme in Finland necessarily. But the idea of Black Friday. Now, most of the horror stories from Black Fridays you hear are very, very localized events where there's lots of violence and stuff. They don't happen every year. I looked it up once a couple of years ago, violent Black Friday events. And there'll be like one incident happens in like Pittsburgh. And then the news media will laser focus on that for like the next 2 or 3 weeks. And that'll be like, oh, Black Friday. Like everyone will talk about that one incident in Pittsburgh. And now that's not to say that elbows weren't thrown at, the Walmart, the local Walmart here. Someone got their foot stepped on. But there will be like one horrible instance and the media will focus on that and like, look how horrible Black Friday is. I don't participate in Black Friday, so, whatever. But because I am poor and I also recognize that the deals are probably not really deals.
Well, the stuff is made exclusively to be sold at that price. So,
well, exactly. But this idea, and this is something I kind of come to, like just an observation. I don't think I guess we're kind of moving into observations. I don't think this is a theme, but the idea of the violent, like angry, murderous Santa Claus sort of has a parallel to the frenzy of Black Friday. At least the idea that we have of the frenzy of Black Friday.
Yeah, I could say that.
I don't know if that was his intention, because I suspect that Black Friday is not really a thing in Finland.
Here's what I'm going to say about it. I think that it's not. I don't think it's a thing that was thought of while it was being made.
Yeah.
However, a pretentious English major or overzealous film student could absolutely make that argument
and make it like a 20-minute video or a
like a 20-minute video or like a big essay about it. I think it's.
And that's really all I'm going to say about it, because you can see the parallels and be like, well, there's something there, but not really, because the filmmaker is clearly using the violent Santa Clauses as a just a horror device. Like this is an interesting take on Santa Claus. It's kind of cool. Let's just roll with it. And really, it is like you said. It's the taking Krampus and the Father Christmas figure and just rolling them into one being. Which I'm in favor of.
Indeed, me too. I may have actually done that in a project I'm working on.
Well, fantastic. Do you have any more comments, thoughts about the themes that I've babbled on about?
Not really. I think you hit most of them. Like this one's difficult because like the themes they're not in your face. Like this is clearly more designed as like to be something more entertainment, just be kind of like pure entertainment there. But it's so well done and it's so well handled that you start to find the themes anyway. I don't think anything was intended.
Well, I disagree. I do think that Jalmari Helander intended there to be those themes kind of present in it, but he also didn't want them to be the focus and take away from the actual story he wanted to tell. And the reason I say that is because those themes are present in the two shorts. Like they're very clearly present in the two shorts.
Yeah.
And the thing is that he's not trying to, he's not making a value statement about this. There's no, this is wrong or this is right sort of thing. I mean, you can get whatever you want from it, I guess, but he's not making a value statement about Christmas being a commodity necessarily. He's just saying, like, look, we can make Christmas a commodity in this world where Father Christmas is running around naked in Finland.
Well, an army of Father Christmases are running around naked in Finland.
Yeah. I think that it's intended, but it's not intended it's not intended to be some sort of moral lesson or anything like that. It's just intended to help enhance the story itself. Observations, we've made a few observations. Did you have any other observations you wanted to make before we?
Not that I can think of. Like I was going to rewatch it today, and then I didn't. I was going to
rewatch it last night, and I didn't. So I don't feel so bad now that I didn't rewatch it.
Yeah.
I do want to say one thing. Sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say I do find it interesting. I'm not sure. Like I said, I don't think it has like that much thematic to do with it. But the fact that Piotr's dad has a slaughterhouse on his farm.
Yeah.
There's something about that that's really, really interesting to me. I don't quite know where to put it, so I'm just like, observations is the perfect place for it, because it's like I don't know what exactly to think about that.
Well, I think it has to do because I think it's kind of, it seems like he's more of a ranch than just a straight up farm. It seemed like he had he raised pigs, obviously, because he butchering one at the beginning of the film, and it is clear that his primary job, when they slaughtered the reindeer, was to butcher them out. Like, I'm sure he had help. Like the other guys there were clearly probably helping, and they probably all had setups like that, similar. Maybe not nearly as big, but I got the impression that that's sort of his primary job.
Yeah. Well, yeah. No, it's just like, for me, the fact that it was there on his property. It's not just like in town or somewhere else, and then just the size and complexity and how well put together. It's not just like this is the clean area we have to deal with the meat.
Yeah.
It's like, this is an actual full-on slaughterhouse.
Yeah.
That's what I found that's what I found interesting.
Yeah.
Is that it was clear, like, I mean, I don't know what it says, and like, it could say stuff about the culture. It could be any of the things that you were talking about there, but it's just it's something that as I thought about, I just think it was it struck me as not necessarily as odd, but as interesting.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I think it is, I think it has a lot to say about that particular culture, particularly this very small village-like culture where they sort of have to make do with doing a lot of their own stuff. Like, clearly they get stuff from the larger areas, the larger cities, but at the same time, 30 years behind everything.
Yeah.
Even when the movie was made, they were 30 years behind. So their tech level, what was just readily available in the town was, not modern day.
Yeah, they didn't have enough evolution points to reach the next
precisely
next stage. Yeah.
Precisely. So I think a lot of it just has to do with the culture. I almost, and if anyone wants to weigh in on this on the Discord or shoot us an email, that would be awesome. I suspect you see a lot of similar things. Almost positive you see a lot of similar things in Alaska. Some of the smaller towns and villages up there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, or even you'd see similar stuff like up in some of the more out of the way parts of Montana.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
I mean, I think the difference might be the biggest difference might be there could be a greater level of pride about living out there in your Montana groups, but I think you could see a lot of the same stuff.
Yeah. Well, it'd be interesting to think about, because if you think about it, the guys that are like the Finnish guys living in their village, they're going to take pride in it. This is just their way of life. This is just like why there's no, like, I see what you're saying. Like there's certain mentality. Like, well, I live up here and by this, grit
where I'm truly free.
Yeah. Where the dudes in Montana, or even like some of the folks that live in the villages up in Alaska, it's sort of like, well, this is just the way things are. They've always been this way. So anyway, one more thing. The reason I'm going to go into my final thoughts, and I'll just make it part of my final thoughts. So I really like this movie. I think it's a fun take on Santa Claus. It's a fun take on the whole story of Saint Nick. It's a decent horror film. It's not real gory. It's not real gory. There's not any senseless violence. Everything's very tight. The movie doesn't overstay its welcome at all. The acting's good. The effects are a little dated, but they still hold up okay. Particularly the naked Santa Claus is running through the forest.
Yeah, it's true.
Towards the end. I was originally keyed onto this from a YouTuber I watch, Good Bad Flicks, who he reviews B movies and cult films and horror films. And this was just one of the movies he went in. He kind of went into a deep dive. He goes into the history a little bit more. He talks about it. and in some depth, but his videos tend to be short. So I think this one's like 13 or 14 minutes. But once I saw his video and I was like, I got to see this film. This movie's, and for a while, for a long time, we couldn't find it. We couldn't find it available anywhere.
Yeah, cause we've been wanting to do this one for years.
And so I'm super excited we were finally able to do it. This is like the third year in a row we've looked at trying to do it, and we're finally doing it for the second time because we recorded one last week. I lost. I highly recommend you go check this out. You watch it on, you can rent it on Amazon. It's on Hulu right now. You can, if you have a Hulu account, you can watch it. If you don't have any of those things, you can probably find it on YouTube because it was on YouTube as of a week ago. The 2 shorts are on YouTube as well, and I highly recommend you watch those. If you want a fun horror Christmas film, this is worth your time. I think this is a lot of fun.
Yeah, well, and there's a lot of the horror Christmas films or the horror holiday films.
Yeah.
The nice thing with this one is that it's really not cheesy.
No,
it's not intended to be funny.
No, it's not. It's they play it straight. There's never a moment where there's actors are like winking at the camera. There's never a moment where there's
like they really handle the absurdism of all this really, really well.
Yeah.
Because they don't break, and it's like this is completely ridiculous, but you never have them like question the fact that it's happening.
Yeah.
Or they're just like, well, shit. Okay, what do we do? It's like, what do we do now? Not this shouldn't be happening. What the fuck?
Yeah. Or like, look at all that old man wiener. Wink, wink, nod. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Old man wiener.
So yeah, I highly recommend it. The acting's solid. Like, there's another movie that Oni Tomila is in that I kind of want to see. It's like an action film. What is it called? Big Game. It's Big Game, and I haven't watched it yet, but it has Samuel L. Jackson in it as the president of the United States.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I want to see it. It has Ray Stevenson in it. It's Victor Garber, who, for those of you who are fans of Legends of Tomorrow or Alias, he's in both of those. He was also, interesting note, Victor Garber was also Jesus in
Mecha Jesus versus Mega Buddha.
No. He plays Jesus in the film version of Godspell, which you would hate, but
probably.
Anyway, so I highly recommend you go check this film out. It's a lot of fun. John, do you have anything to add before we wrap up?
Chupacabra.
God damn it.
That is all.
Well, that does it for the show.
What's wrong, buddy?
I'm just worried about the Idgits.
Why?
I'm afraid they've been struck dumb by some ancient curse. Or possibly one of the balls of power. Which ones do we have again?
The reality ball and the space ball.
I think I know what it is that cursed them.
Centuries of breeding? Oh, no, wait. That only applies to pugs and bulldogs and several other pure breeds.
No, John. Somebody used the mind ball on them and took away their ability to speak. That's the next one we have to find.
I hate you so goddamn much. I like how we're still flogging this plot and had absolutely nothing to do with this week's topic. Till next time. Wait, what am I supposed to say here?
Relevant to Our Interests is written and produced by Frank Shaw and John Belliston. Graphic design by Nathan Newell. Editing by Frank Shaw. To contact us, email us at relevanttoourinterests@gmail.com. Find us on Facebook at Relevant to Our Interests. Tweet at R2Interests. Listen to us on iTunes, Google Play, Podbean, or wherever you listen to podcasts.